Welcome to another episode of ChatNAPT with AI Chatterbots Chuck and Howie. It's a wonderful day here. We had a rough night last night. Wherever I go, I seem to have rough weather.
Oh, that hasn't hit us yet. It's coming today.
We had tornadoes last night. I got to find me a place that has perfect weather. I don't know. Maybe I don't know where it's at, but it ain't here.
Hey,
So,
look, we both lived there at one time. That's Southern California. You talk about, people reporting the best places in the world to live, and that's one of them that
yeah,
has
but
fairly even weather year round,
yeah, but
except for the
I
earthquake.
don't know. You got the earthquakes. LA at some point in time is going to fall into the ocean. Probably not in my lifetime, but I'm going to go on record as saying at some point in
I don't
time,
know if it'll fall in the ocean. It'll just become an island that'll keep floating away.
it'll be a sad day for the entire world when that happens. So here we are, another day, another episode. We're counting down. We got 2 episodes left for season one. We're going to have this one, then we're going to have the wrap up of you and I,
Yeah.
and we'll be entering and going into the NCSLI.
Today, I am so excited that we have a guest here that has evaded you and I in our entire career of metrology, right? We just have not run into this guy, but we've seen him. We've seen his work.
Yeah, we've seen his work, and I am really I can't believe that I've never had conversations with this gentleman
Yeah.
as much as I was involved with MSC. And as many times as he's been at MSC and his involvement, from what I understand, I'm going to obviously ask him, I'm going to grill him to his interaction with MSC. But
Right.
anything new happening in your life at all? Or
Well, I will bring up the fact that Tuesday is a very, very, very special day coming up.
yep,
Do you know what Tuesday is?
it's the anniversary for the signing of the 150th anniversary of the meter.
Yeah, it's Treaty of the Meter. It is World Metrology Day 150 years ago on Tuesday. For metrologists, that's a pretty important event, right? Because that's when we started really standardizing the world's measurements, and it's just gotten better from there.
Yeah. Well, I agree. We've come a long ways. I mean, every single thing that we do in our life is measured.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it that the
I'm not gonna say
importance.
that it's the sole reason, because it's not, but it is a big reason why we could go from flight in 1906-ish to the moon in 1969. I mean, that's a short period of time for that escalation of technology.
Yeah. They say that we were able to go to the moon because of the world wars.
Yeah.
Uh, there
Oh,
are a
yeah.
lot of
Oh,
people.
yeah, there's a lot of things that drove it, right, for sure, but you have to have standardized measurement as well. That's one component of many that have to be in place.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a lot of books out there that I've read that have said that the infrastructure and the technology that was driven by the war
Yeah.
efforts.
Yeah, the rockets that were being designed at that time, that Werner von Braun had come to the States and brought all that knowledge, and he was a
Yeah.
master at that.
Yeah.
And I think we had some of that discussion with Paul Reeves. But yeah, you're right. One thing led to another, domino effect.
Isn't that it's just a weird thing that the effort to kill people is what
Yes.
brought us to the moon. And when you think about that, all the other benefits that have mankind have gotten from, for example, I don't want to promote NASA programs, but all the NASA programs, how we've look at the biggest thing we've gotten is the watch. The watch we wear,
Mhm,
the computer that we wear is simply because of the technology from the space program.
mhm.
We really owe the computer to the development of the space
So
program.
NASA has a spin-off department that show what products come from the space program. That's in their, publications department, right? Their PR department.
So today we've got Ted Green. Let's talk about Ted real briefly. Ted is a self-taught, knew all about electronics prior to him going to PMAL. As I mentioned, I think he and I went to PMAL together at the same time, which we'll find out during the show today. He was an honor grad at PMAL. After he went to PMAL, he did his time and became a wonderful technician, always got promoted real quickly, went up the ranks in PMAL. After that, he left PMAL and went to work for Hughes Aircraft Radio in El Segundo. After that, he went to GTE. After that, he went to McDonald's, always from, promotion. They say in this business, you have to, leave a job to go another job to get promoted. He took that path.
Yeah.
He finally ended up at the Navy with the Corona, and he is currently the technical manager for the Navy Cal Lab at Seal Beach. He is extremely involved with the metrology program over there, and he's also a big advocate of the Measurement Science Conference as well. There he is. Welcome.
Great to have you on the
Uh,
show. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's great
You,
to be on the show with you guys. This is kind of a new thing. I think it's a new thing with podcasts popping up all over the place for metrology. I think
Yes,
it's
for
great.
metrology specifically, you're right. It's starting to grow.
yeah, there's now three good, what I would consider three good podcasts that are out there. That give the metrologist the opportunity to, explore and listen to other metrologists is what we want. Rather so they don't have to listen to mystery books.
Or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. So
yeah.
We were talking about your bio and back that you were out at Lowry for tech school, 81, 82, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Jumped right in there about I think it was June of '81,
Okay.
and went all the way. Actually, I was there for a little bit more than a year. I think I left Lowry in October for the
Of
first handful
82?
of months of '82. Right. I think for the first
How about
handful of
that?
months, I was learning how to wax and buff floors.
Oh, so we had talked about that in one of the other episodes. I was out there February of 83, so just months after you were,
So you missed the
you
beer
left.
machines. You,
There were no beer machines at that
there were
time.
no beer
Thanks for
machines.
ruining that for us.
Sorry, brother.
But I never buffed the floor, I never scrubbed the toilet. I made it through there in 5.5 months, and here's why. I don't know if when you were there, it was all lockstep for all the blocks?
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. By the time I got into it, the first 5 blocks were lockstep, and after that, you're self-paced. And I got
Oh,
done with, block 5. I jumped into, like, one of the last positions available for block 6 ahead of the class ahead of me,
right,
and then I just went right through after that. I just kept on going.
right. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Typically unheard of because most people were there a year or more.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I was already in high school electronics for a couple years before, I got into the
Yeah,
female school.
that's
And
awesome.
even before then, like I mentioned in my bio, I was already teaching myself how to read schematics because I was starting to build weird stuff. My brother bought some kind of do-it-yourself metal detector, and he opened up the box from Radio Shack. He opened up the box. He's like, "Oh my god, what do I do with all
Wait,
this?" So
you didn't happen to
he
have,
gave
like,
it
a
to me.
you didn't have a happen to have, like, a plutonium source in there, did you?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it could have been. But, from then on, I was fascinated with electronics, and I started to build a lot of weird stuff. So I would have loved a self-paced course like that. That
Sure.
would
Yeah, I'm
that would
sure
have
you
been
would
great.
have. Yeah. Well, you guys, I think were there about the same time.
yeah, I got there in July of '81. And I think I spent the first month. I was at E4 though when I got there
Ah,
because
okay.
only because I had some college before I joined the army, and then I went through basic, and then I got promoted to E4 as soon as I got out of basic. So I didn't have to stay in the barracks. I got to stay in the billets there at the
Oh, nice.
yeah. So I didn't have to do all the things that the E2s and the E3s and the E1s did. So it was really nice for me that but I had to do, uh, what do you call it, guard duty at night where I had to sit up from 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning and sit
Oh,
and
wow.
watch all you guys sleep, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
You
sleep. I was
you
on
know
D shift. I loved it.
Oh, D shift. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Midnight
so
till 6 AM.
I was marching early in the morning to school, but I do remember 1 or 2 people that stayed in billeting, enlisted billeting, and going to school. I remember talking to 1 or 2 people like that, and I'm wondering if one of them was you.
oh, maybe? Yeah. Well, I loved it because I mean, I got, breakfast every morning, through the cafeteria. I mean, staying in the Air Force billeting was great. It was fabulous. I had a great time there, and I did not wanna go, speed through the program. I wanted to enjoy it. I had a great
Oh, yeah.
duty, and after the class, we go out the back gate, and we did you ever go out to Shake Nasty's bar there out the back gate?
I think I did once or twice with a couple of buddies, but, I was more interested in sitting on my bed and playing my guitar and goofing around with some oddball electronics.
Howard is a musician as well. Howard plays the drums.
I'm a drummer.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So
So,
All
you had
right.
mentioned to me that you were in the Air Force Rock Band, which I didn't know existed. Maybe it wasn't there when I got there, but wow, that must have been fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a blast. We were in a separate squadron, and I think we had blue and white ropes, and then we got to blouse our boots, different from everybody else. Of course, we were in a completely different squadron, but like I said, the rock band would play in the officers club or the enlisted club, stuff like that, and, I think we were trying to arrange a way to play off base, but I can't remember if that ever happened or not. So it was fun. Yes, a blast.
well, I used to know quite a few guys from the Air Force as well, and I definitely had some great times, between the regular class and then the advanced classes that we attended there, and PMAL obviously was a big start for a lot of us that are currently in metrology business now, and we don't have anything in it that PMAL like that anymore. I mean, the training for the average technician is not you're not getting it anymore. The military is not providing the level of technicians, and we're losing that good training program.
I I 100% agree. I think any of us that have been to that PML school, Lowry Air Force Base PML school, and we probably all heard at once like, "Oh, they're closing down Lowry." It was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, it
It
was.
was like
How could you?
"Oh, they're tearing down the Statue of Liberty, or they're going to recycle the Eiffel Tower." It's like, say it isn't so. You cannot be serious. It's ridiculous. So, and then later on, I was in aerospace for almost 30 years. And later on, it got really tough to find, people of that caliber of metrology, discipline, learning, and skill because, that female school was deep in so many ways. It gave that person who went through that school a huge stepping off
Yep.
point.
It
Yep.
did. Yes.
And then, of course, the level of discipline being in the military, uh, you were a well-rounded, individual going into any laboratory. As a matter of fact, uh, Hughes Aircraft in El Segundo, they sent me airplane tickets, round trip airplane tickets, while I was still in the Air Force at Kirtland Air Force Base,
Oh,
to fly me down and interview me.
who did you, interview with out there?
The manager of the Cal Lab is Jerry Nakamura. The big guy overall, the whole thing was can't remember. Oh, Merrill Lindsay or somebody like that.
Mhm.
So I jumped to Hughes Aircraft in Fullerton.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was in El Segundo about 4, maybe 5 years,
Okay.
and then I jumped over to Fullerton, Hughes Aircraft Ground Systems Group,
Yeah.
and, worked in our microwave department there.
Well, another thing that we wanted to talk about was why we never know you is that you are very active in attending the Measurement Science Conference. And why is it that I've never met you at my Measurement Science Conference?
I have no clue. Maybe we did. Um, this year, you know, I this year I went on my own dime.
Oh, no.
Uh, yes, because, I was signed up to go with the US Navy.
Mhm.
Had 3 days of NIST, uncertainty training, just like a refresher, because I had taken it before with those, or one of the guys was new for the NIST uncertainty training, but,
Mm.
I had taken that class before. I just wanted just a refresh, make sure I didn't miss anything. The Corona said, "Well, we really don't want to send people to Disneyland for training right
Mhm.
now. The optics just aren't good." And I totally understand.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with the Navy's position on that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. So I just took the day off and went over there. CalLab magazine sprung for lunch for me.
Nice.
I do cartoons for them
Yeah.
anyhow,
Mhm.
and I usually sit at their booth, and talk with their editor, Sita,
Mhm. Right.
and whatnot. Then I go walking around and talk to people and just try to network a little bit. But yes, I try to get there absolutely every year. I've known just about every president that's been at MSC
Mhm.
for years now. So yeah, I don't know. We haven't. What we probably did somehow.
Well, because
Has to be.
I've been extremely active with the board for a long time. You've had to see me on stage, and I like I said, I was on the board for 7 years, and I was vice president, and I had to resign for medical reasons. I'm flabbergasted that I don't know you because you're what I
Yeah.
consider a player in the area, and to not have met you, especially I love your work so
Who
much. It's
doesn't?
not maybe not so much your electronic work, but I've been a fan of your cartoons forever. I mean, probably 10 years I've loved your cartoons. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
You mentioned that, the Navy doesn't wanna spend the money to go to Disneyland, but this is the last year that was at Disneyland, and now it's gonna be at the Hyatt,
Right.
or off of
Right.
Disney property from here on out.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike Schwartz mentioned that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and Mike is, incoming president, right?
he is the incoming president.
Yep.
OMG! Congratulations! And of course, he's been active at MSC for quite a while, and
Oh, yeah.
he's
Yeah,
another mover and a shaker. So I'm very happy for him, and I think, of course, he'll do great things. Just the
yeah,
way it is,
yeah.
yeah.
Looking
Yeah,
forward
he's
to
got a
that.
lot of great ideas. He wants to do the same thing. He's had a lot of ideas that a previous person had. Karen Jackson, obviously you know Karen very well.
Yeah,
Yeah, and what I like about what Mike wants to do is he wants to really focus on the training, which is what we really need to do. And so I applaud him on that endeavor to make it focus as much training as possible. Actually have hands-on training, that type of aspect of it, not just lectures and talks and that, but bring in people that can teach you how to calibrate a gauge block is what he wants to do. So things like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I 100% agree. I know a lot of these metrology training companies have popped up as a way to mitigate the loss of Lowry and
Mhm.
and and probably other military adjustments. Of course, we all know that in the past, the majority of the best technicians came from the military, and that's been scaled back for we can explore the reasons forever, but it won't do
Right.
us any good. But the bottom line is that yes, the community needs a lot of really great training, accessible to everybody. Somehow we got to help young folks know about metrology. I'm sure all three of us here, when the word P-mail was mentioned to us, we were like, "Huh?
yeah.
What?
Right.
Who?" You know? And
Yeah, I went in open electronics. My 3rd choice was female because it was, "Hey, Colorado mountains, I've never seen that from Chicago," so that sounds great, whatever female is, right?
yeah,
And that's where I ended up.
exactly. Me too. Yeah. I'm going to Colorado.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
sounds good.
For a whole
My
year.
I'm in.
mine was just a whole year of school. I mean, I had 2 years of college, and I had a whole year of school, and I just went through 16 weeks of basic training, and I didn't want drill sergeant anymore. So I thought
Yeah.
an Army school, I mean, an Air Force school, a whole year of not being around Army, I that was the ticket for me.
Yeah. You know what? I bet you I talked to you at PML at Lowry because the guy that told me he was staying in enlisted billeting was an Army guy.
That was well, I've completely different. I am not the guy that I mean, I was a lot skinnier back then,
Uh,
you
Oh,
aren't we
know.
all?
wow.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I guess we all were back then, right? But yeah, I was not the guy that I look like now. I can tell you that right now. And obviously, that was 35 years ago.
You know,
But
it's funny how
yeah.
you look at some people's pictures over the years of their life, and they don't seem to ever change from like a toddler to, old.
yeah,
Other people, drastic changes. I'm kind of one of those people, right? A lot of changes in my features over 30, 40 year period.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. Another case like yours is a, a guy by the name of Brett Courier. He works in Corona right now. He's in
Mhm,
charge of Corona's automated calibration and their metrology database, MCMS. And then MCMS has an automated function called race.
mhm,
So he's in charge of that. He and I went to Lowry together. And I didn't know that until I met him working for GTE, like 20 blah blah years later when we were just talking about PMEL.
mhm,
And I'm like, yeah, and he's an army guy. He was an army guy. And he was there during the day. And he says, "Oh, I was always out in the smoking area. I don't smoke anymore, but I was always out in the smoking area." And I'm like, "Yeah, I recall a blonde-haired dude, always in the corner having a smoke out in the smoking area during PML." He's like, "That's me." Like, wow. And then we bump into each other, 20 years later.
yeah. Isn't that weird?
Just yeah, the metrology community is so teeny. You turn
Yeah.
around and bump into somebody you've known or met years before easily.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's just so interesting.
Yeah, I've
It's
reconnected with some people over the years, mainly at the conferences, and just, shocked when I see them. It's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a blast from the past," right?
Yeah,
In fact,
yep,
one of
a
the
lot.
guys, we ended up this was in Nashville. We ended up going out, with our director of quality at the time, Keith Bennett, just looking for some live music, right? We wanted to just go out and have a good time that one evening. And we found a punk place. It's, we don't want to any punk music. And we found a country music place, which was fine. I like country music, but not what we were in the mood for. So then we pull up to this one bar, and he goes in, comes out a few minutes later, and goes, "Park the car. Come on in. I got a nice surprise for you guys." So we go inside, and there's nobody there. It's empty. And I'm like, "What's the surprise?" He says, "See those guys at the bar back there? Yeah, that's the band, or it's half the band." Right. So he played guitar and I played drums. He goes, "Let's go." And we
Oh
started
my
jamming,
gosh.
and we started filling the place up. It was a lot of fun,
Oh,
just
that's
impromptu.
a blast.
It was so much fun.
That's a blast.
Chuck and I have
That's
had some, I'm sorry, that was Washington, DC. Chuck and I had some fun in, Nashville as well.
yeah.
yeah,
Good
I've
times.
that's a bucket list item for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've run into guys actually in the service on maneuvers. We were in Germany on maneuvers, ran into guys that I went to school with in the same class, in my
Mhm.
same class, like 10 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree with you more, Ted. It's a very small world. And
Yeah,
there's guys out there that we went to school with that I run into all the time, that are current Cal Lab managers now of facilities throughout the country that have gone obviously not only through PML program, but people that have gone through when I went through it as well that I know
right.
personally. Half a dozen easily that I've known. So it's very
Okay,
small world. Very small world.
very small. Um, Germany. Where at in Germany?
Kaiserslautern was about there.
I lived in Kaiserslautern.
No kidding.
I'm an army brat.
No kidding.
You guys are
Wow.
just full of near misses.
I lived in yeah, I lived in K-Town.
No kidding. Wow.
I lived in K-Town for 3 years, from, uh, 76 to 79 maybe? Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. So, and then, of course, you were there years after that,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
lived in K-Town, Volgaway.
That is
Oh,
funny.
I love that area. I had a good time. Yeah. We got to talk about your passion for drawing. Well,
Absolutely.
how did you get started with Caltoons?
Okay, so, been drawing since I was, like, 4 or 5 years old. Okay. Fast forward to Hughes Aircraft. I got hired on at El Segundo, uh, a big union thing, and the union had just settled for some, uh, paltry amount for a raise for everybody. But, us young guys, we didn't know that the economy was on the ropes or anything, so that doesn't make any sense to us. So anyhow, so I'm all upset. So I pulled out a piece of paper and I drew a technician in a smock. Technician in a smock with a badge, with a big giant wood screw going right through his chest and pinned to a wall with the, shadowing of the technician on the wall. He's obviously pinned to the wall. And I put on there 25 cents an hour. Are you feeling screwed?
Yeah,
I love
yeah, yeah.
And I made copies of that and I bathrooms and all in the hallways and stuff like that. And it struck a nerve.
I bet it did.
sure. Yeah.
And they were calling me the mad paster. They didn't know who had done that.
Yeah.
There weren't cameras all over Hughes
No,
Aircraft.
not like now. Yeah.
So, uh, the Hughes Aircraft Fullerton, many, many, many years later, I noticed they had a newsletter. So I go, "Hey, let me draw some cartoons for your newsletter. It'll be all about, calibration." And they're like,
Mhm,
"Oh, well, send us a bunch. Let's see what you got." So I did. And back in the day, I'm with pencil, a little India ink bottle, and I'm dipping my nib into the India ink and then drawing over the pencil and then making copies and blah blah blah. Okay, it's a whole different technology. And I'm sending that and they're like, "Oh, great." So they're printing it in the Hughes newsletter
mhm.
and it was called Hughes Tunes with
Oh,
a
okay.
Z. So I did that, then I went to GTE. They didn't have a newsletter, but that didn't stop me from cartooning technicians and pieces of test equipment and everything like that, which I will sometime in the future put on my website. They're actually pretty darn funny. And a lot of some, not a lot, some of the management there was looking to fire me for it's like whoever is drawing these damn cartoons, we're going to fire them. And
Oh,
everybody just was like, "Oh, really? Well, maybe you will and maybe you won't." Fortunately, I quit and I went to work for McDonnell Douglas, which was bought by Boeing, and my cartooning stopped until I went to work for the Navy as a contractor, working for the MCMS, metrology database automation. I wrote a lot of automated programming sets for them, and I noticed they had the Met Bull Metrology Bulletin.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, "Hey, blah, blah, blah. I think this would be great. People would pick up the Met Bowl a lot more often." They're like, "What do we got to lose? Send us something." And so I did. They were all line drawings, but they liked them. They started putting them in, and just one thing led to another. I started doing, I got this beautiful iPad that I'm talking to you on, and just started doing everything in color
Yeah.
as a challenge to myself. And one thing led to another, and then somehow I ran into Mike Schwartz, at an MSC, and he's like, if I remember right, I think he said, "Yeah, throw me some of these cartoons," because I think they started seeing them in the Met Bowl,
Mhm.
and that's that. Now they're in CalLab magazine. They make the calendars that are very popular,
right.
and there you go.
So
That's
if you
the
don't
rest of the
mind, I'd
story.
like to share with the audience some of your work.
Sure.
All right, so this is your profile pic, which I love. I think this is amazing. You mentioned the iPad, right? So my daughter's quite the artist as well, and she does a lot of her work on. I bought a new phone, and it came with a pretty good size iPad Pro, so she
Uh,
uses that to do her work. But anyway, I get that that's a really nice tool to use.
yeah.
Anyway, so let's just jump through a few of these real quick, just for the audience to see if they've never seen your work, which would be hard to believe. But I
Yes.
love this stuff. You do such a
Yeah.
fantastic job. This one
Those
is
those
one of
were
my
done.
favorites.
Those were done for Fluke. So Fluke need to do these some of these cartoons that you're showing here.
Yeah, yeah, they're
That
good.
was Mike Schwartz's favorite there with the clowns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of Mike Schwartz's favorites there.
Well,
Okay.
I couldn't find my favorite of yours, I'll tell you in a second, but I think some of these are really great.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites. I think Down with
Yeah.
Uncertainty is
I like
amazing.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, let me get the gauge block on the forehead, that's fantastic. Love the wizard one. You shall not pass, that's awesome.
Yeah.
My favorite, though, is the guy tapping the SPRT on the bench, and it's saying, "Ouch, ouch, ouch." And I can't remember when I saw it. It's been years ago.
Man, I cannot remember that
Yeah. Anyway,
at
so
all.
I
I
did
might
see this at the
I'll
MSC.
redraw it. I'll just redraw it.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great because that really got the point across. It's one of the first things that I had a problem with, some of our technicians when I first came to Transcat, and I was the Rochester lab manager, and I see these, SPRTs sunk into a dry block with sand around them and crimp marks from them trying to grab it with a set of pliers. It's like, "What are you doing? You're killing them." Maybe that's your cartoon.
Yeah.
But anyway, fantastic work.
Okay.
Everyone loves it. What is the website so that people can go see your other work?
It's tedgreen.org,
Okay.
and just launched like, last month. I'm the one doing it all. Right now it's more of a repository for my cartoons, and I've only got this year's and last year's cartoons on there right now. I'm still doesn't work real good on mobile devices. On PCs, it seems to work fine, but um, I've got a long way to go on that thing, and I just gotta find some time to load it up. I want to, of course, put all my metrology cartoons on there. Some cartoons from the past, like the GTE cartoons. Those are actually pretty funny.
Mhm.
I've had one of the guys that I used to work with at GTE is the the head of metrology for Fluke.
Just
His name Jeff Gus.
there
Yes.
you go.
So I've got a cartoon of Gust. He's standing on a mountaintop. He's got a flag or a cape, flowing behind him, and he looks like Superman. And I put a caption on there like, a strange thing happened to Jeff when his calculator detonated uh, beneath him, and blah blah blah. Now he's a Superman. But so yeah, I worked with we were technicians there at GTE,
Oh, yeah,
and he
yeah,
went on to bigger and better things. I remember when he left for Fort Wayne, Indiana. So
yeah, mhm,
yeah, and he's good guy, good
yeah.
guy. He made it far.
So, I mentioned, earlier to, Chuck that, Tuesday is a very special day, right? This is the World Metrology Day. This is the 150th anniversary. BIPM has a lot of material out on LinkedIn about those events and, or that event. And I will just say this doesn't have anything to do with the fact that we happen to have a master cartoonist for metrology on the show. But in 2010, I created a little cartoon of my own for World Metrology Day for Transcat to do internally, right? Just as a
Okay,
and my daughter was the artist. This was the
good for
Metrology Day
her.
cartoon. In any case, um, so you don't have to read it. Uh, that was just a little bit of fun. I wasn't going to be going into this. I didn't know of Teddy Tunes or Cal Tunes at the time, but what you're doing is just masterful. I absolutely love it. And I would like to commission you to do a group drawing characters of all the people that we've had to wrap up season 1, if that's something that you'd be interested in.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, what
Uh,
what I would like to do even further is I'd like to try and see, I don't know how many ideas where your ideas come from, Ted, but and I
Me
don't
neither.
know what I wanted to talk to Mike about maybe taking over the calendar for a year
Oh,
because next year is our 30th anniversary for NAP. We've been in business
yes.
for 30 years,
Yeah.
Wow.
and we'd kind of like to contract out a special, calendar for 30 years. And I don't know how we come up with 12 different ideas that revolve around proficiency testing or not. That would be, if that's something that we could come up with or not. I don't know where you get your ideas. I mean, obviously you're very talented, but if
Maybe
that's
one
something,
for that new tool that you developed for risk, maybe one for each category.
yeah,
Just
there
an
would have to
idea.
be something that we'd have to have conversations about. But I don't know. We're just thinking out of the box, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
y-
Yeah. Yeah. I've worked. I've worked with a lot of people. Basically, I just talk to people about, what their ideas are, and we just go back and forth. I just draw like real fast sketches
Mhm.
and say, does this look kind of in the direction that you'd like to go? And then I sleep on it. And like I tell people, I let the ideas percolate
Yeah,
because they just come to me. I have really no idea
That's the
how
artistic
I
point of
get some of the
yeah.
I don't know, which is a little scary because, you know, you're always afraid that you're gonna wake up empty one day. It's like, "Hello? Hello? Is
yeah,
anything in there?" But
Yeah.
sure,
It's amazing how your
I'm
brain
always
works.
ready.
Like 3 in the morning, I'll come up with some of my, ideas for white papers and things like that, right? It just you
Exactly.
let your brain percolate, and then all of a sudden pops out.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, gentlemen, I got some really sad news.
Oh,
Our time is almost done.
Ugh, it goes so fast.
And it does. Howard, do you have a one last question you want to ask Ted before we call it a day?
Spread the word, right? Metrology is
yeah,
it's an incredible career field. A lot of people still don't know that it exists. This, right here is, Cool Careers in Metrology. I was on that committee, and
mhm,
that website's still out there, coolcareersinmetrology.com. Um, and the intent was to drive it towards guidance counselors for high schools and, colleges to get the word out that metrology is a career field you might be interested in. So, be an ambassador,
right.
spread the word.
So, with that being said, Ted, obviously you're extremely talented. I think that your cartoons are great for helping spread the word about what metrology is. We love the lighter side of it. Please,
Yeah,
continue that. If there's anything that we can do, please get with Howard, and try and work on a calendar, whether it's one picture or 10 or 12, whatever. We'd love to
sure.
work something out like that. And thank you for being our guest. It was a great podcast. I think that our audience is going to really love our podcast. So with that, we want to thank our sponsor, NEPT, as well. Howard, thanks for another great podcast.
You as well.
And
Thank you.
we want to thank NAPT. And obviously, as I always like to say, if you're not doing proficiency testing, you're not proving your technical competency. So sign up for proficiency test today.
All
That's
right.
it.
We'll see you on the next episode.
How easy out.
Chuck, Howard, good talking. Have
All
a
right.
great day.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye bye.